Hi everyone, this is Cynthia with Chiefology. So I've been asked to share a little bit about what it was like to work with NASA and what that felt like. And so I'd like to share what my experience was regarding the culture, because culture is so key to any organization. If you look at the Chiefology model, culture is at the core. So there's a piece that is the core that is about your mission, vision, values, as well as a number of other strategic fundamentals for the organization. But collectively, these really create your culture as your organization. And one of the most unique aspects of the NASA culture was the closeness. Because I've worked in other high risk environments, such as healthcare, where things can go wrong. And so there is a high degree of attention to safety that is necessary. But nothing like what I had experienced at NASA, because you're literally putting your coworkers and when I was there, it was the days of the space shuttle and also the space station. And it was your coworkers that you were strapping into that shuttle, and you were lighting a fire under it, and you were shooting it into space. Just an incredible amount of things that can go wrong, and so the amount of safety and attention to it is so key. But part of that is also the closeness of the community in that everyone who worked with or for NASA, it was a tight-knit group and a tight-knit community. You didn't know everyone, but you sure knew a lot of the folks, and you hung out with them regularly, and not just inside the office, but outside the office also. So you got to know each other as friends, as family. And a story that I'll recount for you, and this happened each time there was a launch, regardless of where you were, whether you were at JSC or if you had the fortune to be at Kennedy Space Center during a launch, which I had the opportunity to be there a few times. It was wonderful to watch it in person. You can literally feel it happening as it is occurring. But even if we were back here in Houston at JSC, there were monitors, television monitors, all over the facility. And when it was time for a launch, everyone would stop what they were doing. It doesn't matter what your role was. I mean, think about it. I was a learning and development person, so I did training. Granted, I was blessed to be able to train folks in mission control, and so I had that connection to it. But I'm not a rocket scientist per se. But regardless of the role, everyone would just emerge around these monitors. They would come out to these common areas and would stand around and watch the countdown, the final countdown. And as it would get closer, and as the shuttle would be lit up for launch, folks would start holding their breath, because there's a critical period during which, if something is going to go wrong, that's when it's likely to occur. And it really is up to the point, as the shuttle is beginning to lift and up through the time where you see the solid rocket boosters kind of fall away, jettison away. That's the most critical time. And so there would be silence. You would just have this intent staring at these monitors, and folks in this incredible sense of silence and holding breath and waiting and watching. And then the moment you would see that, the moment that those SRBs would fall away, then the cheers, I mean, they would just erupt, and the place would go wild, and the high fives and the hugs. Now, obviously, there's still going to be, throughout the rest of the mission, ensuring safety, and there are always things that can go wrong. But at least that first piece was finished, and it was successful, and you could feel good about getting your coworkers up and going on their way into space safely. So that's something that really just stands out vividly in my mind as a NASA story, is that culture, that tight-knit culture, that literally your coworkers' lives are depending on you. And regardless of what you do and what your organization, whether it's a product or a service, you have customers and you have people who are depending on you. And you may not think that it's as grand as something like NASA and putting folks into space, but you know what? To your customers, it's pretty grand. And so think about what they need from you, what they want from you, and how you can deliver that, and how you can ensure that high reliability and that consistency every single time. And do you have a culture in place that is ensuring that happens? Or do you need to look at your culture, and do you need to make any changes to your culture to really deliver on what you're promising to your customers? So there's a story for you, and there's a way to apply it to your own organization. Hope that helps, and look forward to talking with you next time.